Well, hello and welcome back. We are continuing our season of building better developers and Developreneur with a focus on getting unstuck and moving forward in forward momentum and just starting the year correctly. I am one of the founders of Developreneur, also the founder of RB Consulting, where we help you do a technology reality check. We help you before you get into that big project, you start investing all that time, all those resources. We help you figure out where are you at? What is the foundation that you have? How do we make sure that we make that solid enough that you are able to build on it and plan for your future so that you're successful not only today and next week, but 6 months and even 6 years down the road? Good thing and bad thing. Good thing is that we are in a flurry of interviews. I'm in a flurry of networking calls and being on podcasts. And it's just, there's a lot of great things that are out there. There's a lot of cool ideas. There's a lot of great people. We've had a lot of fun with these. I have enjoyed many of these conversations. So it is one of those things that's like, sometimes when you get out of your coding bubble a little bit, you stop, step out of your chat with AI and actually talk to real people. You can have some really cool things that come to mind, and it can help you get out of your rut and figure out, like, how do you want to proceed? How do you get past that problem that's been blocking you a little bit? The bad thing is there's just not enough hours in the day. The bad thing is that, like, I'm starting my days very early and I'm ending my days very late because it is a global, the world has shrunk. And when you're dealing with people everywhere from New York to Hong Kong and all points in between, whichever direction you go to get to those two, then your day becomes almost a 24-hour day. And it can be a little exhausting. But you know what charges me up every time is hearing Michael give his introduction. So introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, my name is Michael Malash. I'm one of the co-founders of Develpreneur, Building Better Developers. I'm also the founder of Envision QA, where we build and test custom software that eliminates the bottlenecks. That way your business can run smoother and grow faster. Good thing and bad thing. Good thing, last time I mentioned I reorganized my office. I am actually finally getting to the point, Rob's a little bit ahead of me on this, but I'm looking at building my own private AI LLM, trying to put some systems together and build that. So I'm kind of excited about that, geeking out a little bit. Downside, because of the memory shortage, some of the things I'm looking to buy to build this thing are super expensive for no stupid reason other than they are selling it to AI. They've stopped selling it to consumers, and it's all enterprise. My daughter can relate because we're trying to build her next gaming rig, and it's like outrageous. It's like, this is stupid. But hey, that's why it's the bad thing.
I think they call it first world problems. It's like, oh well. But I totally relate. Granted, I got frustrated. I accidentally wiped out a whole bunch of documents in my LLM recently, but and I was like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. But it was a good opportunity for me to go and, as I regularly do, reset some stuff, reorganize, and just make it a little tighter, faster, better. And yeah, it's very easy to geek out on that. It is like I have spent probably more time than I need to in my off time in the last few weeks pulling some of that stuff together and really just refining the processes that we have. But that is what we talk about when we talk about working on your business, is making sure that you can turn it into squeaky clean processes that you could hand off to somebody else. And if you get hit by a bus, your company can just keep chugging right along. All of
and
that
have fun with it, though.
Oh, definitely. Trust me, there's a lot of cool, fun stuff I've been doing with this. And it's nice to be able to just crank this stuff out. All these little ideas that normally is I don't have a week or two to do it. When it's oh, I can have AI go do it and get it done in a couple hours, makes a huge difference. It is amazing how many things I'm knocking off of my to-do list for even the simple automations, not including the bigger automations. We digress. We got to get back to our conversation with Dr. James Maisiri. Just for those that are out there, it's Maisiri is how you spell his last name. There will be a quiz somewhere along the way, so that is important to keep up with. Unless we, plus also there'll be links in the show notes for all of those things. It's a great conversation. Let's not push it off anymore. Here we go back to our conversation with Dr. Maisiri. Now, one of the things you mentioned was which is fascinating, and one of those great uses of AI in that is like, for example, like the farmers, they can take a picture of a leaf and they can figure out like all of the specifics about it and chasing it down. And I'm assuming that's, from growing it to dealing with pesticide or pests and things like that, and even diseases that the various the farmer may run into. But one of the things that sort of brings to light is where you have situations and problems that are unique to Africa, like we'll just take it as a continent, is there a data infrastructure? Because AI has got to it has to have the data before it can figure stuff out. So, the concern would be if it's solving a problem that's, overly it's too much China data or too much Russia data or US data or something like that, that it doesn't actually apply. So you end up getting the wrong answer essentially for when you switch it into an African environment. Is there a push, or has there been a push from just we'll just call it a digitization of some of these nations even before we get to AI, to try to get some of that data pushed into systems so that AI will then be able to use it when it gets to that point?
So that problem happens more often than you believe, right? Because we don't create our own AI systems; we import them, and it doesn't land well in our context, and it can cause more problems than it actually can fix. So I'll give you an example. Zimbabwe partnered with China for facial recognition systems, and when this AI came, because the AI systems was trained on Asian facial recognition systems, it basically was not working. It didn't work. It didn't work well within the Zimbabwean context. So it created a situation where Zimbabwe allowed China to collect data of Zimbabweans without their explicit consent, knowledge, or even awareness, allow China to train the AI system based off that and control the data around that. So a lot of academics have a problem where we're seeing an extraction of African data by companies within the global north that they have no say about, they have no control about, because they don't have the infrastructure to hold it, to train it, and so forth and so on. So it's a serious crisis, and sometimes it's a life-threatening crisis. Like, for example, I think there's a stat that 1% of the global health data originates from the African countries, right? So there's a case in South Africa where in 2019, Black practitioners were starting to notice that they were being accused of fraud, like medical aid scheme frauds. And they were just like, curious, like, why is this happening to us disproportionately? And when they did launch an investigation, they found that AI automated systems made those particular decision. And the suspicion is that's because the context that of Black practitioners within low community environments are much different from the AI that's trained on those particular decisions, so they disproportionately punished those people. So we need to create our own AIs with our own data to make our own decision, because we're just giving data to those companies. We're not really actively involved in how it's trained and all of that, and we just bear the cost. We just buy the final product. Can I give you one more case that I think would be
Mhm.
interesting? So in South Africa, the 68% of small medium enterprises on Africa is done by an AI system, or is governed by an AI choice. Like if you want to loan something, if you're a small medium enterprise and you want to loan on from banks or financial institutions, 68% of them is governed by AI in one shape, form, or the other. And the study in South Africa found that in construction business, as a women-led construction business is 53% less likely to actually get a loan. And when they do get a loan, it's much smaller at a higher interest. And the reasons for that is many, but one of the reasons is because the AI systems are not trained with the African unique histories where certain women didn't have property rights, or property rights within the back of the day, and historical data points, which all feed into the decisions that is made. So we need to make our own systems with our own histories, our own values, to help us move forward. So it's a serious problem on our soil.
Yeah, that is a fundamental issue that you guys are going to have to figure out, because the AI is great, but if you have data that is essentially bad data, it's trash data in your case, then it doesn't help you. So, one more question on that is, so you've obviously, being a doctor, that you've spent a lot of time in this, you understand it, obviously you research it. How does this land when you're talking to other people? Is it something that is common sense enough that people are like, yes, this makes sense, we need to have our own data, we need to have our own sources? Or is it something that there's a lot of pushback on that?
No, so I have because I'm a professional speaker as well, right? So I have a very common keynote that's called if Africa does not shape AI, AI will shape Africa, where I'm basically showing how these imported technologies are even affecting our culture, like the case studies within our culture. Our culture is being shifted, our daily lives, and it's always mind-boggling to the audience. Like, it's always an eye-opener. It's like they had no idea whatsoever. I mean, that, and also to the degree that decisions are made around their lives by algorithms, they had no clue, like, at all. So there's generally so far there's always a great response, a great need for change. Like, the audience is very big on change, and just big on building awareness one stage at a time.
So
So yeah.
you've talked about, Africa building their own AI, that there's the need for you guys to build your own AI models, your own AI infrastructure. Understanding that basically how these models are trained determine how well they work in the particular regions they're in. In the US, we've got Grok, we've got ChatGPT, OpenAI, all these systems. China's got their own. What currently is working best for you? Because here there's a lot of concerns about racism and inconsistencies in certain AIs as to how they're trained. What are you looking at right now as the AI models that are useful enough, powerful enough that they're not going to unintentionally influence the young minds or those using AI in your country in the wrong way?
That's a good question. That are not gonna unintentionally influence the youth in a certain direction. I don't know if I can give a credit to any AI model system right now that's not gonna do that. I really don't. I can't give flowers to any of the systems right now. Truth is, it's a mess. It's truly a mess, and we're just scrambling to try and figure it out. I don't think we're there yet, or I can't even see the light of the tunnel with regards to that at this current point. No, we're still figuring out. We're still trying to figure it out. I don't know if I can give flowers to any system like that right now.
Oh, no problem. I was just curious because I keep trying everything and keep using things for certain things. It's like one model's good for this, another model's good for this, and you just avoid certain questions with these models because you're not going to get the right. Well, you may not get the perspective that you want. That's one of the biggest, I guess, concerns with these models, right? Because corporations are building these. We don't know how they're trained. So speaking of training, so how so as Africa grows there, as you start building this initiative, as you start looking at building these data centers and building your own models, what is your vision on how to train these models in a safe, secure way that will benefit Africans?
So a lot of this discussion on literature right now is based on Ubuntu ethics, like training AI models based on Ubuntu ethics. Ubuntu is basically an African philosophy that says, "I am because you are." So it's very communal. Like, you don't think you're not. It's not an individualized culture like you see in many parts of the West, but it's very communal. You don't do anything that would hurt, that has a net negative within society. Everybody should be accounted for, even what you deem as lower class. whenever you make decisions within these technologies. So when we train, the push in academia is that when you train data, that's the ethical framework of how you should make sure your AI output should be in terms of fairness, right? And the problem is when we import these technologies, there's direct contradictions with that, right? So, for example, in the educational sector, like in a lot of traditional African education, is very, very communal. Like it's very, very communal. And there's been a critic that these AI systems, like AI tutors, practice individual learning, like screen time learning, which is changing the actual way that that specific African culture learns, if that makes sense. So, yeah.
It does, and that's actually an interesting idea because if there would be a way, and this could be something that could be specific to Africa, to your culture, is if you can figure out how to take these AI models and instead of making them individual thinkers, making them group thinkers, like if somehow train these models just the way you explain that, it just makes me think that that could be an opportunity there to take AI to the next level. Instead of it being like one, be a group thinker instead of like a single thinker. That's kind of
And
cool.
that would mirror the culture in the ground exactly, which is what exactly what I'm saying.
So to do that, are you looking at maybe introducing, instead of like single AI, but like maybe introduce them into these communities and have the communities maybe try to build these systems together, which might holistically build the AI system that is more conducive to the African way of thinking?
Yeah, so I'm a big believer that no matter what AI is introducing in these communities, you need to go speak to the community, and whether it's the community leaders, the traditional healers, leaders within that particular community, and have these conversations within on what that specific AI would do within the community. Otherwise, it will end up having adverse consequences. At this stage, right now, to my knowledge, there is zero of that. I've personally not seen that. I've seen that in academic literature where a lot of people are advocating for it theoretically, but practically on the ground, I mean, I can't imagine maybe that's unfair, but I can't imagine OpenAI coming down to Zambia, sitting down with community leaders saying, would you want to do this? Would you want to do that? Maybe that's unfair. Maybe they would, but I've not seen I've not seen it at this current stage in point in time. In fact, what I do see, especially from these NGOs, is not communicating with communities. Like so in Zambia, for example, childbirth is not like just a medical thing. It's extremely cultural, right? These women have been passing on what to do from generation to generation. They know what roots to eat or what juices to take in. They go to the traditional healers for specific herbs to protect the baby physically and spiritually. That's what they believe as well. But they introduced an AI app into that community to help. But that outputs of the AI apps only suggest Western practices and Western cultures. So as more young people lean towards those practices, their own indigenous knowledge and way of being tends to become invisible. That's not to say AI apps are bad or anything like that. They do save lives, but it's just to show the change that such a technology can have. Because that AI app is not trained on the Zambian culture. Like, oh, maybe the AI could tell them take this herb at this particular time, right? Yeah.
Well, I think that's again, it goes back to a fundamental difference of how AI works is that it's not just, even if, OpenAI decided to come down and spend some time, it's really, they have to understand that whole Ubuntu approach. They have to understand what the culture and what the essentially the science and the spiritual healers and all of those facets that you guys live with, that to say, okay, this is the data we're working with. Because for example, if it gives you a Western solution and says, well, go get this drug that is not available, then it doesn't help. It's like, okay, well, it needs to have, for an AI engine to be useful, it has to have the right context to be to talk, essentially, we'll say talk the same language that you do, so it can actually give you solutions that are that are feasible. So there's like I said, there's a whole season worth of discussion on this alone. I think in some of the things that you guys are running into and facing. So we this has been fascinating, and this has blown right by as far as our time here. So one of the things before go right ahead.
Sorry, I just thought if I can say that there's no difference, especially for your audience, which is an entrepreneur. There's no difference between how can I say this? A problem and an opportunity. They're fundamentally made out of the same thing. If there's a problem, and you can find an opportunity behind it and a solution behind it. And I think whatever investors are listening, I really think the future is in Africa in terms of AI. If you can develop an AI for African problem, it'll be extremely, extremely profitable for within your end and for you. So yeah, while you're highlighting the many problems we have, these are many solutions for for those who are listening.
Well, and I think you did point that out, where you said that maybe in the the United States and China or EU are way ahead of where Africa is there, but that is also an opportunity for them to sort of to learn from those mistakes that have been made in these other places that they advance and come into Africa and say, okay, now we sort of like tested this stuff out. We know how the solutions should go. We know how this should grow, so that we can help Africa, catch up. And hopefully it's the way it almost always works, is if you get somebody way ahead and they treat somebody behind them, that helps that person behind them to catch up faster, as opposed to taking the long, slow route that the researchers took the first time around. So I love that you mentioned that. And that is definitely an opportunity, I think, for anybody looking forward. It's like, this is, every one of those problems that we've listed are also problems that if you can solve those problems, those are opportunities for impacting a lot of people, a lot of lives, and somewhere along the way as a business, you're going to be successful when you do something like that. Like I said, this has been fascinating. What are the best ways for people to get a hold of you, and either to just talk to you more, or also if there's any links that you would want to throw out, or ways to support some of the efforts that you're backing and that you're pushing for?
So there's 3 ways. You can hit me on my email at Maisiri. I don't know if my name is going to be there on the screen when you edit it. So it's going to be James Maisiri, the number 1 at gmail.com. Or you can message me on LinkedIn at James Maisiri. Or you can book me for a talk, because I do a lot of keynote talks to raise awareness. Yeah, I think that's the answers I have now.
Excellent. Well, we'll make sure that there are links in the show notes for those that are listening, and those that are watching. They'll be there as well, because this is I think this is one of those areas that we hadn't spent as much time exploring, but I think it is an area where there is a lot of exploration left to be done. A lot of opportunities here. So especially anybody out there that's trying to think of a new side hustle or a new product to launch or anything like that, then I think you have a whole continent full of potential items there to look into. So thank you so much, James, for your yes, and positive for it. And this is doing it for the community, not just for yourself, because that is the way. Thank you so much for your time and hanging out for us. For those of you who are listening, thank you for your time, for spending some time with us and investing some time in your career, and also in hanging out with us and our guests. As always, go out there and have yourself a great day, a great week, and we will talk to you next time. Now, for our video bonus people, you can either a challenge for those that are listening, if you've got a challenge you'd like to push out there, or if there's a parting thought, a bit of wisdom that you would like to share, especially considering, if you think about a bunch of people that they're struggling in their business, or trying to figure out where they want to succeed, or maybe looking for that next problem to solve.
That's next problem to solve. Yeah, that's an extremely, extremely deep question. I think when I speak to people in the global north, they're very focused on their own problems or their own worldview. If they stay in America, they only know about American news and American stuff. I truly encourage you to step outside of that world and look at other news outlets and other news opportunities within the African context. Like I've seen entrepreneurs travel. I hear of entrepreneurs, let me say, travel, relocate, and go to specific African spaces for businesses and stuff. So I would say step out of your worldview. There's a whole other world within the global South, whole other opportunity and minefield for you.
That is sage wisdom. I would say for sure. As somebody who has just recently done some of that breaking out of the state's bubble, definitely there's a lot that it will open your eyes quite a bit, and that is why I'm so glad that you've spent some time with us and be able to talk about this. You've done a great job laying out some of the challenges and then some of the background that you've got in this. Like I said, this has been a great conversation. I hope that we can continue this as we move forward. Definitely, I think I've already connected you to LinkedIn. We'll see where we can continue to hopefully be available in any way. And I just want to offer too, like if there's anything we can do to help, if there's any way we can reach out, anything that you would love to talk to us about or anything, let me know. We'd happy to connect again, and definitely keep us. And keep us up to date on how things are going, because it's like there's a lot there, and hopefully there's a lot of good news. A lot of these opportunities are embraced. Hopefully, there's a lot of good news that you can share with us as we move forward.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Michael. I truly appreciate the opportunity to speak with you guys. Thank you.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Sure.
So thanks a lot, James. We'll let you get back to it. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll have links to this. It'll be in about a month, I think, about towards mid-April or mid-May-ish that it'll probably be coming out. We'll make sure we share links. Feel free to share those wherever you want. They'll come out. It'll be come out on a Tuesday and a Thursday when those are available. And it'll be available also on YouTube at the same time. But anything that we can do between now and then, or any questions that you have, let us know. And go out and have a great day and enjoy the rest of yours.
Thank you. Am I allowed to post on LinkedIn that I had this podcast, or should I wait for the video to drop?
You'll definitely. Well, you can post it as there. It's just the link itself will not be available until for a few more weeks. And so when we do that, but definitely feel free to share that wherever you want. And anything, however you want at that point, it's wide open. And if there's anything we do between now and then, if you need promotion help or anything like that, let us know, and we'll get you what we can.
I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Have a good one. Bye.
Sure. Bye.